someone very smart and someone very beautiful, but also very cozy comes into your life and just takes it over, and
as well as takes
and
over
then
your
very
couch.
fluffy, and
So that's the point I wanted to bring up.
sleep
is
on
that
top of you.
Alexandra's been talking about, leading our
The
cult.
9
A
cream
cream
cult.
cult.
And I want to know, did you learn some tips?
Did
here?
you
Been
take
taking a lot
some
of
notes?
notes.
Yeah.
I'm taking notes.
Listen, the wave cream, there's nothing better than that. I don't need to do all that.
Yeah,
I'll
just
get
need
you
to
all.
exist.
Big hormone enneagram.
Let me lay it on the line. I got a little freakiness inside. Let you know that the man has got to deal with it.
I'm John Lekovich, 415, sexual self-pres, 458 Trifix.
I'm David Gray, self-pres sexual, 9 with 1 wing, 974 Trifix.
What up? It's Emeka. I'm an 8-wing-7, sexual self-pres with 854 fixes.
Hi, I'm Nancy. I'm a 3-wing 4 self-pres social, 369 Trifix.
Hi, I'm Alexandra. I'm a social self-preservation 9-wing 1, 963 Trifix.
If you like or hate us, make sure you go like and subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and make sure you leave us a review.
Of all the brainwashing ones that I've seen, this is the one that felt the most like, oh yeah, I could definitely see this. Like
Because there's also something so like on the ground about it. Like if you guys, did you watch Holy Hell? We talked about it once, I think. It's
Which one's that?
Sexual 3, that fucking
oh yeah,
weirdo.
I did see that one. Yes.
There is
I don't think I
something.
saw that one.
It's good as it's captivating. It's
Good choice
it
of words.
keeps you watching.
He's like a sexual social, right? Like it's
Probably, yeah,
fucking
yeah.
wild.
Yeah, that,
we
like-
should do it
that,
on
like,
that too. 'Cause
really
he's-
good of insane sexual social energy.
Yeah, just like a demonic Ken doll. Weird, just fucking freaky.
What is that? What's it called? Is it a?
It's called Holy Hell. It's amazing. Wrong word choice, but it is. It's like
All right.
really something to behold.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like what is the fuck? It's called the Buddha Field cult.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
and,
right.
And there's a guy named Michelle or Mikael or something who's like this like sexual social 3 who's just like
Who's like a dancer,
Golden
a
light
ballerina.
Yeah.
who's
Right.
Yeah.
and it's all about his sexual energy is like what the whole
Oh,
cult is
God.
about. And
Yeah,
I mean,
and it's three too. So it's sexual 3. So everybody he's associated with also has to be up to like a certain
Right,
sexual
right.
image standard.
Right.
So
Everyone
they're all
has to
getting
be
like
beautiful.
plastic surgery. They're all like exercising. They're all like practicing free love. Like it's insane.
he's also like a ballerina or former ballerina or
Right.
something, and so mandatory ballet is a part of this thing. And
Oh my
ballet.
God.
there's
Mandatory-
He like
Mandatory
has them build
men
a-
fucking.
Yeah, he like has them build a theater so that they could perform their own shows and stuff like that. Like it's such masturbatory 3 weirdness, like specifically sexual.
Yeah.
It's great. It's really wild.
Well,
I mean, there's the guy that like would make him a special fruit dish that was like it was like the fruit had to depict some kind of scene, and he did that every day for years.
I think I've heard about
Wow.
it. Yeah.
It's really wild.
the one that's fucked up is like the dudes that are not gay that he would make have sex
Right.
with him or do sexual acts on him, and I was like, damn, you were so deep in his cult that you were sucking dude's
Sucking dick.
this
Yeah.
dude's dick, and you don't like dick.
Impressive, truly.
Man, why did we? That was a slippery slope to bring up.
Deviation.
Okay. Here we go. that cult is so like outlandish, and it's
Right.
also so typical in the way that people get into it, and that there's this kind of like a guru that has like no life in his eyes, which people can project whatever into his eyes because there's nothing into it.
Yes.
And also it's very kind of like triple positive in the sense that it's like full of hope and we're all about love and whatever. There is something about 8 and 6 and 2 that it is very on the ground for
Right.
your own good. It is parental only. So it's like, it's also more insidious in the way that when you think about joining a cult, you think about like just la 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 floating into the sky or something like that. When this cult was just a guy that had your best interest at heart.
Yeah.
You know, that's how you got indoctrinated.
I think
Was you just believe that this guy wants the best for you, and he's like talking to your. By the way, this guy was calling their parents.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Intervening.
I
on their
forgot
behalf
about that.
He was
against
calling
food.
their parents to say, like, I don't think she should come home this spring break because she found out that you actually did this to her when she was a little girl, and if she goes over there, she's gonna kill herself. That's just insane, just parental intrusion.
I think you nailed it on the head with the parent thing. How he was both the father and the mother energy.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, that's like really clear.
But to your point, he was actually a good influence for a while.
Yes.
Like
Right.
this worked.
Yep.
That some of these other cults, it's like it feels dumb because they weren't even useful for that long before they started extorting them and using them. But he was like it was working. It was like they were improving, and he got them in shape. He got them to do like 400 push-ups a day. Like all these things, there were like tangible results. Like this person's actually made my life better. So it's like it makes sense that when he turns and starts getting you to do all this crazy stuff, that of course you're going to comply. Like if this person's been a good influence in your life for like a year before he starts asking you to do this outlandish stuff, like maybe that's the point where you realize that things aren't working out and you walk away. But it's really plausible that if you've made it this far, that you would have such a really hard time walking away from something that has been good for an extended period of time.
Yeah, I think being like especially a younger person, of how to, like, if somebody you like them or you feel connected to them, how to then like hold the gray areas of them. Like it's like, I like this guy, he's been good to me, so then I'm just gonna like not
Give him
update my
access to
view
me.
of them.
Yeah.
It's like it's not like not taking in new information about like this guy's holding pliers to my tongue, or whatever.
Maybe
guy
we should
is
reevaluate.
Insisting I scraped his pan, and it's turning into this whole fucking thing. And instead of being like, hey, this is too much pressure in a relationship with an older fucking guy. This is way too much. This is that thing. Like you feel this is an important connection, and especially I guess without having a good set of like connection to parents or something like that, or wanting that, having a wound there. You forge that with this adult who just then takes and takes and takes.
Yeah. I think the key to that is like, well, first of all, the risk to that is that everybody's original wound is basically not being parented. Even if we had great parents, our dad sucked, our mom sucked. Mom or dad, if you're listening, you're wonderful parents.
That's not what Alexander says
No,
in
you're not.
private.
That's not what I'm saying. Anyway, even if we had great
You
parents.
should have heard the stuff
Blink
she said
3
the
times.
other day.
Yeah.
Alexandra's parents. Oh man.
Alexandra's parents.
We don't
Mrs.
know the
Alexandra
name
or
of-
Mr. Alexandra.
Yes.
Anyway, that even if we had good parents, they still were bad parents in certain ways. So that makes us vulnerable to towards anything that's going to feel like positive parent. And I think this goes across the board with all of the object relations, like all of our responses to that. But anyway, we are going to be vulnerable to somebody that wants to parent us, or to systems or whatever, ideologies that want to parent us. And so I think the way to kind of hold a boundary is to redefine what parenting is. Like, we don't actually want to be children anymore, where all of our needs are being totally met. We want to learn how to be adults in our own right, hopefully, if you're paying attention. And so the way to like really receive positive, appropriate, well-intended parenting is to make sure that whoever is parenting you is trying to push you to do it on your own versus just be responsive or compliant.
And there's something reciprocal, that there's not just one directional anything.
Yeah. There was a point where he said something, he was like grabbing and hitting Isabel in a doorway, and he was saying something like, what else do you have going for you? Like, you have nothing else. Like, it was like, wow. Like, it was to create complete total dependency.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what was most impressive about it is that this was just a gradual escalation over time until he had complete control. It wasn't like a lot of the other ones felt like someone came in and was able to use a combination of, respect and authority signals and emergency to get someone before they can even think enrolled into sort of like this nonstop on the run away from their lives. But this was more insidious that it was built up over time. And so by the end, you're looking at some really insane situation, but it didn't start out that way. But he's got them feeling like they have nothing. You can't go back to your family. They never loved you. They've been poisoning you since the beginning. So it's like he made it so that they had nothing except for him. There was nothing left. This is when I was thinking about the whole thing, it reminded me of some dreams. Like all my dreams are all set in some living structure, which is sort of like the world is a holding environment that's contained in. So this whole fucking documentary, it's contained in either a fucking apartment or this house like they don't leave.
Yeah.
And so everything is under this one living structure. And it's kind of like a psychological holding environment where all your needs are contained in this living structure. I was like, that's rejection as fuck.
As fuck, yeah.
Well, one thing though that blew my mind. I mean, I understand. Like, I know it's not actually being out of it, but like, so the girl that was like escorting was seeing like 5 or 6 clients a day.
Yeah.
No,
For-
she was
for
completely
6
ruined.
years.
It seemed like she was on drugs too.
Something
She was
like,
just completely.
yeah, they didn't interview her because they, whatever. Like she passed up, wanting to do obviously making sense, but I like
Couldn't believe it.
Like, yeah, because like a lot of the other kids, it's like as soon as they like spent 10 minutes away from Larry, and they just reached some kind of exhaustion, then they like got out of it. But like, so you even though you're doing something that is like incongruent with yourself, you're still out of the like. I know in some ways you're still in it, but you're like out of his atmosphere
Control.
or something.
Yeah.
So that's something I want to understand more is what was up with her and what was her circumstance, because that was so extreme.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand. They didn't really explain very much on how it came to be that she was escorting, because that's a ridiculous amount of money that she was bringing in.
And where are the guys even coming from? Like,
Right.
How do you drum up that amount of business?
Right. Exactly.
Well, he was probably helping her on the side.
Yeah.
That would be my guess.
I still don't understand how you do it, though. It's not that easy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm assuming that website, but still, like, it's not that. I was skeptical of the amount of money. I was like, how the fuck do you make this much money, fucking dudes?
Yeah. I don't understand.
That's a lot of dick.
That's so much.
God.
No, thank you.
What do we think Talia's type was? That's her name, right?
Which one's
Yeah.
Talia?
Daughter.
The daughter? I
Oh
didn't
wait,
see-
who was the one tricking? Who was which one's the daughter?
Claudia.
Something.
Okay, what was her type?
She seemed like a 9.
Okay, that's what I figured.
She was so out of it for so much of
Yeah.
it that I had
Yeah.
no idea
Right.
what was going on.
I feel like that had to be the only way that she could do that for so long. It's
Yeah.
just like 9, just numb away.
Yep.
I will
'Cause-
just
Yeah.
not, because even her confession, right? The confession on the website seemed just totally like she's dead. You
She's
know,
not
like
there.
she's
Life force,
she's
yeah.
not there. Her body is there doing what it's telling you to because she's just trying to survive.
It's interesting to see how, like, there's basically 9s and 6s, but their response to this whole thing. How I think Santos seemed like a 6 also. What do you think,
Santos
David?
was a 9.
You think 9?
I don't-
I was back and
I
forth
think
on
he was
him.
a 6.
Yeah, I was
He
on
seemed like
6.
activity in him.
He, like, the 6s were kind of like questioning it, but, whereas it felt like the 9s are almost either dissociated and hopeful, like hoping that things would work out.
I guess what felt 6 was that how much emphasis there was on him just questioning his own thoughts, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd have to rewatch, but he seemed really 9 to me. But with all these kids, I mean, they're in one sense they're all kind of like, in a sense, like average kids, and I don't mean that in like a pejorative, like they're just
Right.
like they're just like they're like normal, but like they touched on how like their different talents and interests. Like the girl that was escorting, they were like she was really creative. She was always involved in something like generative and interesting and all this kind of stuff. And then just to see how their personality had been like completely burrowed out and just replaced with this automaton type of consciousness. It was, I mean, crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that's a 9 under threat. That's what they do. Just fucking power down, and we hope that she wakes up after this has been over. It's like no wonder she didn't want to do the documentary. It would bring it all back down.
Yeah.
Or bring it all back up.
I think they were also
Scary.
making a point of not emphasizing the sexual stuff just in the same way that like when someone's, I don't know, been whatever,
Yeah.
kidnapped and molested or whatever, they don't, want to publicize it that much.
Yeah, that's a good point. Especially not to, sensationalize it or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would imagine it would feel like part of you just been murdered.
Yeah.
Like
how could it not?
they spent that decade with him where you were really moving into the world to become like to make that transition from possibilities to this is who I'm going to be who I'm going to be in my relationships, what I'm going to offer, what I'm going to specialize in, what I'm going to be interested in, what I'm going to pursue, what I'm going to experience. It's like you set up a lot of that during your 20s.
Yeah.
And he took like all of that. So like, yeah, they can recover in different ways, but like the emotional damage and then the damage of time and what that time period sets up for the future of your life taken is just absolutely wild.
Yeah. And that's a good point to bring up too, because that time period, like 18 to 27 or something like that, really is like a part, and it's like astrologically supported too, whatever. That is like a part in a person's life where we are designed to be open. We're designed to just like, okay, now we're out from under our parents' wing or whatever. This is the time where we're supposed to start kind of experimenting outside of the structures that we've been born into. So you're supposed to be like, what's my major going to be? Switch it a couple times. What school do I want to go to? Switch it a couple times. Is this relationship working? Let's try something else. Like, is this the kind of like persona I want to be committed to being? Let's switch that up too. So it was already like attachment or not, a person is naturally open. And then you come in with this guy with all the solidity in the world, offering them something.
Yeah.
So Stolen is a good, damn, that's all coming together. Stolen is a really good part, is a really appropriate way to title that documentary, because this is, it's supposed to be a time of experimentation and openness and figuring things out for yourself before you start to solidify it. Like fucking who really had their like thing down at 20 and committed to it for their whole life? You don't fucking know what you're doing at 20.
Yeah, that's why this one felt like the most plausible. Because the other ones I've seen, you're talking about full-grown adults, 28,
exactly.
30s, who basically decide to go off on some kind of like, it just feels like I feel less sorry for those people. But these are kids who
We're primed.
At that point in life where, I mean, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. And this is an extremely psychologically compelling person who wouldn't let up. You could even argue that you wouldn't have to be a 9 or a 6 to be at that age. You could fall for this maybe at various periods of time or amount of time. Like maybe it wouldn't be in a decade. Maybe it would have been a year for like a 7 or a 3. But I mean, when you're that young, like you fall for a lot of we do a lot of stupid shit when we're in our early 20s.
Makes me wonder how like other types, like hex ed types or something, how they would like what their instead of just total numbing, like what their thing would have been, and their version of numbing.
And I just hate how like the school just totally played a part in it. Like the way the school was set up, it was labeled as kind of a school for the outcasts, right?
Yeah.
So like outcasts, come to us, we are your school, we are your place. And they were so hands off about everything. It just blew my mind that like not once did the school even like give a shit that students were just MIA. Like they were sending out crazy emails to the dean about how they poisoned people that nobody checked in on her. It was they allowed this man on campus. It was crazy to me just how hands off the school was and just allowed this to happen. It was bizarre.
I can see like the like not knowing this guy's on campus thing. Like I kind of see that, you know, but like
I guess
the emails thing, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
To your point of that being a school for outcasts, I just realized when you said that it means that these aren't like star students with a lot of self-esteem, and so they're especially vulnerable to a father figure who shows up and who's giving guidance and giving belonging. And then, of course, you've got these, you know, Dominican
discipline. You know, that's the thing that the school's not doing is setting boundaries.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you got these, like, you know, poor ass Dominican kids who, like, the whole family gets enrolled into this. These are especially vulnerable people. They weren't star students. They didn't come from rich families. So it worked really well on them.
Yeah, nobody was like a jock or like a Chad type. Right. You know, no one was like an alpha type. They were like
overachievers, you know, like the Felicia, she, against all odds, was a Harvard grad.
Yeah. But just they're all very sensitive people and just exploited by this fucking piece of honey baked ham.
I almost feel like people like that know how to spot them. It's like
totally,
of course,
human sharks.
You know, just like find. I mean, if there's a group of 50 students, you got to be able to find the most vulnerable person in the crowd.
That's right.
One thing I forgot to say is when he said that he was creating an army, that really struck me because that means he had malice of forethought. Like he was thinking ahead of how he was going to do this. And I feel like a lot of cult leaders start, like the way it happens is they start believing in their own shit of like, I am a god, I know what's best. But it almost seemed like Larry just wanted to like fuck with them.
Yeah, I mean, he had kind of a history and it was a little ambiguous. There was some like drama with his ex-wife and there was some weird, like, we know that his daughter, what's his daughter's name? Talia? Is that his daughter's name?
Yeah.
We know she was his first victim. Like, hands down. She was pitted against her own mother for some stuff I wish I could remember, but I can't remember that. But this whole story started within his own family.
That's a good point.
You know, so this was not his first rodeo. This is not his first, like, environment that he imposed himself on.
Yeah, it makes you think of how many fucking families there's some, you know, like certain levels of this kind of shit happens, you know?
Yeah. Or even just like a regular relationship. I mean, people get into a relationship in their 20s when they're impressionable and someone has like psychological sway and maybe the relationship is good for a year and then the year after that you're doing all kinds of crazy shit and you lost years of your life.
Someone very smart and someone very beautiful, but also very cozy comes into your life and just takes it over, and you know,
as well as takes
and
over your
very
couch,
fluffy, and you know.
So that's the point I wanted to bring up.
Sleep on top of you.
Alexandra's been talking about, you know, leading our
the
cult,
9
cream
cream cult.
and I want to know, you know, did you learn some tips?
Did
here?
you take some notes? Yeah.
I'm taking notes.
Listen, the way of cream, there's nothing better than that. I don't need to do all that.
Yeah,
I'll
just
get
need
you
to
all.
exist.
Cream provides.
Yeah. I've got you all already. You
and
don't
it's
know it
infinite.
yet, but I do.
It's
True.
infinite, right?
I know it.
We are in
Thank you.
touch with infinity, so the cream is a never-ending fount.
Cream
That's right.
flows like spice.
That's
Cream.
The cream melange.
One thing that struck me is just like how if he would just tell people this is just the way it is. Like, you know, when Felicia came in, she's like, it's so weird that I'm sleeping in the same bed and there's this other girl there and she's got her hand on his junk. And,
God.
you know, and like that's his sort of like godlike sense of I'm just gonna create an environment and set up this scenario and act as if it's the most normal thing and everyone accepts it.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, think about too, he really did get himself in a position earlier in life where he was around people, world leaders.
yeah.
So imagine, he had to actually, well, he was already a very skilled manipulator.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, this guy was like world-class manipulator.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's one thing I took away from this. It's like these kids didn't stand any chance. Like,
Yeah.
so you get a world-class manipulator who's hyper focused on manipulating this group of people, relentless all day, every day. Dude, what chance did they have?
Yeah.
They had no chance. They had no chance.
Yeah, there's so many different like fucking things where, like, some of those, like that 6th girl was like, I wish I'd brought this to somebody, whatever. And it's like, and there were little pockets of air, right? Like in
Yeah.
the sense of, oh, this email about being poisoned got to like the rest of the school and they did nothing. So it was
Right.
there's this whole sense of, you get this thing of like what could have gone differently, but then it's like all the, I don't know, it just seems like those escape outlets, like like the parents, whatever, just like completely failed.
Mm-hmm. I mean, because I guess it was just that journalist guy seeing that website is what kind of blew it open, because
Right.
that could have happened multiple times. But it still doesn't say, it's not that his influence failed.
Right.
Yeah,
It was that
True.
the authorities broke it up. Because if it would have never happened, if the authorities would have never got involved, his influence would have continued.
right.
Yeah,
Right.
no, that's a good point, because the last two girls were Isabella and Felicia, right?
Yeah.
And they
Mhm.
lived in that weird house in South Carolina, and then he gets arrested, and they're still just like,
Right.
two just sister wives just committed to the story. And it took a long time for both of them. I think Isabella even got arrested and was like,
She's charged with
She was going to get
she's being
charged.
charged.
Yeah.
And even during the charge, she's still like, yeah, I don't know. She was still just like totally buying the story.
She was insulted that they were like questioning the soundness of her decision.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Yeah, her lawyers. Yeah, for the listeners, her lawyers. Okay, so at this point,
Yeah.
everybody has left the cult. Isabella is now being charged for like conspiracy or
Because
I
she
don't know.
refuses to help. Because they said if you don't help us give information to help indict him, then you will be indicted as a co-conspirator.
Yeah, as a co-conspirator. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And she has lawyers that are trying to plead her incompetence.
Right.
Basically
Based
to
on the
get her off the hook.
brainwashing. Right.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
but also fucking just to get her off the hook. Like,
Exactly.
we don't need you in jail. You're a
And-
victim of
and
this.
her
Let's
lawyer
call you
quit.
crazy.
Right.
Yeah, let's call
Yeah.
you nuts so that you won't be tried for this. And she was insulted by the idea that she could be called incompetent because she's clear-minded enough to have known what she was doing the whole time. So wild. And she's the last one. I don't know how long it took for her to like come to some conclusion. I think it was when she was charged or something. That's
When he
when she
was
was like,
charged,
hey,
yeah.
he's a bad man and I'm sorry for all the hurt I've caused.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like a couple like layers to that at some point, because another part about 9 is that 9 will keep going with the story specifically because at this point they've gotten comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And to try to rewrite that means having to rewrite another status quo, having to face a lot of discomfort. So I think she probably knew deep down this is like bullshit, but she wasn't emotionally ready to feel the full impact of that yet.
Yep.
And it had to really start breaking down. Like Larry had to be out of the picture. She had to have lost all her friends. Like, because I don't know if this is 9 Wing 8 specifically, but I kind of experienced 9 Wing 8 as being more stubbornly committed to whatever they're
Don't
attached
get me off my
to.
track. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think Felicia was recounting that Isabel, the 9-wing 8, would be pretty steady, but then would have these outbursts where she seemed like she was losing her mind. And that sort of scene where Larry was basically like grabbing her and hitting her and telling her that she had nothing and there's nothing she could. So it seemed like she would have these moments where she'd lose her shit and then he'd pull her back. But towards at the end, she seemed so stone cold and sort of just dissociated from the whole thing, and also just steadfast. So she seemed like locked in, like there was nothing that was going to change where she was at. But
I think Alexander's right about this, like backlog, right? And like
right.
the backlog and the whole like narrative, so to speak, of like the inertia of the mental and emotional centers, right?
Yeah.
Of just like, it's not just, oh man, this guy's an asshole. It's like a whole reconfiguration that is especially nines can be really challenging to pick that boulder up or whatever.
Yeah, and then you add the like autonomy bullshit that it has to be their own idea, and then just like the sensitivity of, you know, the lake or whatever. So I think while this is all still being talked about in the news and she's getting pressure from her friends, that is not giving her the space to like come to this conclusion that she's been brainwashed on her own, which is maybe why it took so long. You know what I'm saying? Like, as long as there's been things affecting her, like holding environment or whatever, she can't think for herself yet, you know?
Yeah, the like all the pressures and micro pressures that are like on, like she can't find her own location, so she can just
Right, yeah, not think for herself, because I don't want to make it sound like she like couldn't think for herself, but it's almost like she doesn't have the space to she doesn't have like an environment that is comfortable, like holding enough for her to reorient, to like re-examine things.
Wow.
God, nines, man.
But anyway, we've been going for a while. I don't know if there's any. Pretty interesting, though.
Yeah. I love that. I love watching shit and then talking about it.
Yeah, we should do Holy Hell. I think it'd be.
Okay.
I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, that it's just such an absurd.
It's so absurd.
I don't feel sorry for any of those people, though.
No.
I don't feel sorry for any of them. It felt like a fun, exclusive club for them that they felt sad that it was coming to an end. They were like, "Oh my God, this is I hate that this is what he did," because they really felt such a strong sense of community from that cult, because all these beautiful people that were fucking, and
there was like, didn't somebody leave and then they just went and rejoined it?
Yeah. It felt like, oh, I'm so happy that all these beautiful young people are here to have sex with, and so like I didn't feel bad for any of those people.
Yeah, it's weird. It's definitely weirder when it's a bunch of adults. What's that other one? Rajneeshpuram.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that one was interesting. Wild Country.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
That one's
I haven't seen it, but I know
it's not
the
as
story.
insane. It's not.
No,
as
that
insane,
one's not
but
as
it's
insane. I remember watching that, and it took me too long to be like, "Oh fuck, this goes bad, doesn't it?" Like, this would definitely have gotten me. Yeah.
You were being indoctrinated.
Yeah. Just like, God damn, my just fucking porous ass would have it took for me until the guns came out to be like, oh, this isn't good. This is bad. I'm not
we're all wearing
allowed to
orange.
Just leave.
We're all
just
doing
happened?
orgies. We're all crying together. Okay, cool.
And it's like a weird thing where like it wasn't necessarily like aligned with me, obviously. Like there was not like a located alignment, but it was more like, I could see this, I could see that, I could try this out, kind of thing, try it out, because that's like an aspect of attachment that I don't think gets talked about very much.
Yep.
A lot of it is just like, let me borrow this person's, let's try this out.
Trying it out, yeah.
Trying it out, yeah. You know, and then the guns come out, and you're like, "Fuck! I don't even believe this yet. I'm still trying it out."
Still trying it out.
That also. Okay, sorry.
No, I guess that's what we're doing now. I guess I'm just gonna agree with what this guy's saying.
Yeah,
let's try out the guns now.
Well, Osho or Rajneesh is 7, but that is a documentary about a cult that gets taken over by an 8. Or Sheila or Sheena or something.
Sheena, yes.
Is like
I don't remember.
Is Bhagavat Rajneesh is like main lieutenant, and he just like starts getting drugged out, and she just takes it over.
Wow.
Yeah, she is just girl boss queen of the world. She's got some energy behind her. She's obviously a total bitch trying to poison a whole town and stuff. But man, she's effective.
Details.
But you admire her, and you might
You
try
gotta
it
give
out
credit
yourself.
where credit's due. She,
Yeah, you can borrow a few things from her.
Taking notes.
It's not the
Daft.
poison.
So
yeah, she had like a million
poison
diamond rings and
Oh,
Rolls
yeah.
Royces and stuff. And like, okay, well.
Oh yeah, didn't they have dozens of Rolls Royces?
Yeah, they were like
Yeah.
very pro wealth. They were like
Yeah.
a commune that was very pro spoils.
Mm.
All right, you're gonna eat mangoes and be covered in diamonds? That doesn't sound bad.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not in a cult. I'm starting one.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Good night. This has been the Hormone Enneagram. Good night.
All right. Well, I need to get off here and worship my goddess, and
Or
And
else.
get off.
Or else your community collapses.
We'll be staying up till 7 a.m. talking about.
Grabbing
me
your
the
tongue
truth,
with
John.
pliers.
Tell me the truth, John.
instead of making me do ballet or like hitting me with hammers, she's just gonna sleep on me for hours.
Yeah.
She's just gonna rest her
Yeah.
voluptuous bosom on you.
The rule is no one wears any clothes in the bed.
Y'all are just naming what happens in our lives. This is what has been going on for
She
years.
puts her hand on your junk.
I see why you wanted us to watch this documentary now.
He just keeps you in bed. Don't leave bed. If you leave bed, the bad thing will happen.
I am a willing devotee.
So you didn't paint that painting of her of your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Painting of the goddess.
That's what the guns were for.
Well, I mean, look at him. He seems much more relaxed, well rested.
Is that what that's called?
the therapy's working.
Isn't it?
I'm creamed out. I'm everything's smooth. Everything's soft.
Docile all the time.
Yeah.
That's how it starts. They get you
Good
to
boy.
improve.
My apartment is full of kitties and blankies and
you love the world and accept
Pillows.
everyone and everything, John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He contemplates the
thing-
beauty of nature.
I contemplate the beauty of nature.
Next
I do
thing
all-
she'll be like,
He
his
sits
friends are
outside
trying
in
to
the
poison
sun.
you.
I'm gonna say hashtag everyone's a 4.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that's the next bit.
I
John's
see
gonna
the 4
start.
in you. 4 in me sees the 4 in you, brother.
No.
Sister, you could be a 4 too, trying to convince everybody that they're actually a 4.
Yeah.
No, you're not a 7. You're a 4. You have feelings.
Cult of Cream, baby.
Yeah, we should make something like an ad for that. You're actually a 4.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
we
see
should
the
talk
4
about
in you.
like merch ideas or something like that. Like,
Merch is like fun from an idea perspective,
I
but nobody
know.
fucking
I know.
buys that shit, and
I
nobody
know.
makes
I know, but
any
it's
money
fun.
from it either.
It's always funny just to
it's
like.
fun to talk about.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
we made like a couple
tiny-
bucks per T-shirt. I was like, why are we
Oh,
even
man.
talking about this shit?
Yeah.
Not worth
You
it.
do like tiny, this is obviously nail polish, but you do tiny, tiny, tiny little vials with little corks in them and just put salty water in them and call them 4 tears.
or 4 poison or something.
Or poison. Yeah,
Poison
No,
your
that'd be
loved
too
ones.
hardcore for the actual 4s.
indeed.
All right.
All right,
Well,
guys.
we're hanging out on
Wow.
Saturday. Nancy, you coming?
I think next weekend I'm going down to Virginia Beach to cheer on my friends at a half marathon. So I don't know if I can
Okay.
make it. Sorry.
Well, we'll be on Zoom,
Boo.
Ooh,
Sorry.
wait.
Bad 3. Just kidding. Just kidding.
drinking, and
If it's not this
watching-
weekend, I'll definitely join.
You
Carson,
don't
I
need
had
those
a-
friends. Skip
Yeah.
that beach shit and come hang out with us. You're a real friend.
Look,
I don't
he's
know,
aiding
I
right
might, honestly.
Aiding.
Is this the cult? Is this it?
They don't really care about
You know what would make you better, Nancy?
Yeah, right.
Stop that.
We're gonna
that
exercise.
right now.
We're gonna exercise together on Zoom. Yep.
You don't talk to them every week.
Yeah. They
They're
don't
a
love
real
you.
family.
I talked to them
Can't you
every
see
day.
how they damaged you, your friends?
I gotta go.
Nice.
I'm gonna go see if I can brainwash some 6s and 9s, create some slaves for us to do some grunt work.
Please do.
I've got
That
to,
would be helpful.
create a narrative that this is for their own development.
Yep.
There's a
Slave.
crop of 18, 19-year-olds being coming through every year. So
they could be working for our baseline income so that we don't have to do anything else.
Yeah,
feel
they
like
could
it's
be
get
doing
some
the merch
slaves.
store.
I know, like it's for a good cause. I think the thing is, this was such a selfish thing, but what if he did it for the right reasons?
Yeah.
That's what I was
Exactly.
thinking.
We are the right
That's
reason.
it.
You know, for the podcast, for the group, like just have some, and it's not have to be full time where they were living with me or anything. It's just like part-time slaves.
A mini cult
For inner work. For inner work's sake.
For inner work.
For the sake of the work. You
for
know?
bettering
So-
themselves.
And just having sex with you every once in a while.
Just
not
like a
every
couple
night.
times a year, you know, just like
Right.
not every night. I don't need their hands on my junk.
Yeah, and if one of them had sex with you a couple times a year, if each one did that, you would have sex like so much, and it would be
You know.
perfect.
So, I mean, there's a lot of takeaways from this documentary. Learning.
I have a
for all of
notebook
us.
full.
I was really impressed by the guy. Just like you're a world class manipulator. That is impressive what you
Top-notch.
did.
I can take notes immediately.
Yeah.
I gotta get this 8 personality to work for me.
Yeah,
Is
I'm
this
not
how I've been doing
I gotta
it?
capitalize on being an 8.
shit. Like I'm not
Oh.
doing my 8 shit well enough. I ain't got no slaves.
Well, you
Turn
gotta
the tables.
get to that 9 line to 2. You know what I mean? You got to be the 8 and the 2. Got to be mommy and daddy.
That's what I was learning. I was like, I'm doing too much dad. I got to do mom and
Yeah.
dad.
Gotta be
Yeah,
mom
you
too.
go to get to do mom, you have to like find something that somebody is hurting your feelings about.
Yeah,
That's the like you have to find that.
Yeah,
little
you gotta
nugget,
find
like,
the manipulation.
Yeah.
I got to find it.
Yeah, and then you got to be there for them.
I got to be there for them. I got to be on the phone. I got to use that soft voice that he has. But I really care about you. you know?
Why are you hurting
He was
my
like,
stuff?
Like I love you so much, baby. You know,
Yeah.
like all this stuff that he was
Perfect.
saying.
Yeah.
I was like, man, you're really good at this.
Yeah, what would Emeka need to become full
I don't-
like cult leader 8? Like
There's
Charm.
Couple polo
I would
shirts.
Need charm.
Oh, the colorful polos.
Maybe a couple Easter egg polo shirts.
but I mean, even just like in terms of his like tone, like instead of being like da 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 da, it's he's got to have
I
like
like to
Yeah.
be soft.
You got to add some air in there. You got to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love
He was
it, baby.
really-
Breaths.
He sounded really nice. Like,
Yeah,
did,
yeah. He was
you
like
know.
like seeing and holding at the same time. Like the
Yeah.
the 2 did
providing
not.
gaze.
Yes, the 2 did not nix the 8 at all because it was still steady and holding. And I see what happened to you, and I'm here for you, and this is what you got to do, and just add some cream into the voice.
Even
know
when
where
he
you
was
can
being
learn this?
threatening and forceful, like
At
he
the
just
cream
sounded
cult.
really nice. Like he sounded really like soft and
He was providing gaze. Like he
Yeah,
was,
big to
he
big
was
time.
providing gaze, and he was doing that like he was doing the 2 thing.
Yeah,
Like,
Mhm.
I see
with all
you.
that 8 certainty and power and whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and two can really fucking like
Oh,
they can
yeah.
look at you. And thinking about that, Felicia, if she's a 6, because right, she traveled all the way over there and then apparently instantly fell in love with him. What does it take? What does
Yeah.
it take? It's like really solid consistency, especially coming from 6, even 6 fix.
right.
Really solid, steady
That's right.
consistency will be there for you, fucking unshakable shit. And then seeing you, I mean,
Yeah,
who doesn't want to
yeah.
be seen?
Yeah, I don't think I can pull that off. I'm too unlikable.
You're that 4.
I disagree.
That 4 stuff.
No, that dude is super charming. I was
Yeah,
like, he's
yeah.
very, very charming. I was like, oh man, that's really hard to pull off. You gotta have that sweet fucking
That honey, baby.
That
That
honey.
Well, I mean,
Slather
he-
it over me.
really liked people. Like even
Yeah.
if he was like
True.
them in this sort of empty psychopathic way. I mean, imagine having that many people living in your tiny living space. He liked
Right.
being around people.
Yeah.
He liked thriving around people's energy. Like
Yeah.
you have to have an enormous like empty hole to like people that much.
Right.
You know?
right.
Also, that combo,
God, John.
same.
Wait, it's like a quote from John Lukovich. You have to have an enormous empty hole to like people that much. Do we have an extrovert or what?
Also, he's Stockholm adjacent, right?
Yes.
In Joseph's
Yeah.
language,
Yeah.
so 962, and there's an empathy piece
yeah.
there. So that's interesting in the context of 8, and so he actually is taking in people's stuff at one level, and then, but for his own ends.
Yeah. Very humanistic, very
Right.
human eight. Like, I don't think I could pull that off because I with Social Blind and 5'4", I don't feel like I'm letting anybody in.
Or want to.
I'm not interested in.
What's out there? Gross. Probably nothing.
Come to me with your
Stay in
concerns.
my closet.
Yeah. No, very unsuccessful cult leader.
Yo, Alex and I were talking today, and like sometimes she'll be like, are you interested in anybody else or something? And we were out at like brunch, and I was like talking about this movie, The Ritual, I've seen, and how there's this whole Jotun beast, and this whole thing, and how it was designed, the creature design. And so we're just joking about like I was always telling her this or something. After that, she says, I was what do you say? Something like, sometimes I have these moments of clarity that you're not really talking to anybody because you don't like anybody or something like that.
Well, that there would be no threat because John just doesn't have his vision set out. Like just John doesn't like anyone.
So it was that meme of like he must be thinking about other girls, and I'm like, oh, it was a Jotun, like a Norse version of a Titan. That was the monster, whatever.
Yeah, he must be thinking about other women. The Jakarta method, the CIA, is really the most dangerous.
No.
Yeah, you even have
stuck
to
with
have
John.
like, yeah.
No, you're stuck with it.
Ain't going nowhere. You're the only human he gives a shit about.
Yeah, really.
Good luck getting rid of John.
Yeah, for real. God. All right. I'm gonna go worship the goddess.
Enjoy your cream cult.
All right.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. She linking sneaky, oh she freaky. Yeah. She can back into me like a Mitsubishi. Yeah. She made me a burger on the stove, and she said it's getting cold. Guess I better let her know. I'm finna start coming over here. I'm finna start coming over. I'm finna start coming over here. I'm finna start coming over. I'm finna start coming over here. I'm finna start coming over. I'm finna start coming over here. I'm finna start coming over.
I'm coming over this weekend, fuck sneak linking, I'm not creeping. Outside I got big motion, still got motion, we out freaking. 4 a.m., 14 shots, I'm tired.